I'm on the board of directors of the Cumberland Christian School in Vineland. I serve other boards too, all without compensation, strictly as a volunteer. Now, I'm presented with another opportunity, and I'm really appreciative of the Democratic organization's willingness to include me as a freeholder candidate, because I think we're going through some very interesting times. I love Cumberland County, and I really welcome the opportunity to join an exceptional freeholder board and come on and help this county through these difficult times we're currently having with the background I have in law and accounting.
Now, Wade, you mentioned some of the areas you've been involved with, but one of the things that you did, where we got to know each other very well, is you were the second chairman of the Empowerment Zone. And
That's
you did
correct.
a terrific job, and you're still serving on that board now, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
And one of the things, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm really proud of is that Wade was actually a Republican.
That's correct.
And changed his party affiliation so as to be part of this team. That is not an easy thing to do. So I'm sure you put some thought through it. Why did you decide that you wanted to, become a Democrat and be involved with this freeholder board?
Well, first I have to tell you that there were representatives of both political parties that reached out to me to consider a run for freeholder. That's the first thing. The second thing is I've never been involved in a partisan political election before, so it necessarily involved me coming to grips with which organization and people involved, more importantly, best reflects my values and best represents the needs of Cumberland County. I felt clearly it was the Cumberland County Democratic Organization. So when the opportunity arose, I felt perfectly comfortable making the decision to run with the Democrats.
You had an opportunity to observe what our board has done over the last number of years with Freeholder Thompson and Doug Rainier and Bill Whalen and Jane Janro and Jim Duncans, Joe Riley, Joe Pepitone, and you felt comfortable with what's been going on and supportive of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen what I've seen and witnessed through observing what the county has done, as well as the Cumberland Empowerment Zone. It's a group of individuals that create an environment that is conducive to job creation, good jobs, business investment, and also quality of life. And I think those things are extremely important, and find it very attractive.
Now, one of the things that we talked about a moment ago, Lauren, is the fact that you, in addition to being an attorney, have had a touch of the acting bug. And you actually, though, have translated that into a passion to help the Levoy Theater in Millville. Why don't we talk for a minute about what you've done with the Levoy and why you're so committed to that project?
I would love to talk about that. I just want to touch on what Wade was just talking about. The reason that I chose to be part of the Democratic organization, just because I was inspired by what he was saying. The reason that I came back to Cumberland County was because of all of the progress that I had seen, and I attribute that to the elected officials who were in charge at the time those decisions were being made. Most importantly, the Motorsports Park, which I think is an incredible project, and as somebody who did go away and get an education and came back and had to make a choice whether or not I was going to stay here in Cumberland County and try to do my part to make it a better place, or go to a big city and work at a law firm, which many lawyers choose to do, I opted to come here because of the progress I'd seen and the hope that I could be a part of that progress. So I too am happy to be part of the team, and
we're delighted to have you.
and thankful for the support.
Director, I have something to add.
Sure,
to
go
that
ahead.
as well. As you know, I've been very involved in the community and with the party for quite some time. I too took an interest in the quality of life issues are certainly important. The point I wanted to make is what the Democratic Party has done in Cumberland County. It's one of the things they've done very well, is pick quality candidates. And the two people to my left, and the third one all the way at the end, has done tremendous things in this community. And you need to be commended for the things that you have done and your community involvement. Now, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but everybody talked about their background and where they come from, but so unusual that the director has avoided talking about his childhood and where he comes from, the things that he's done in the past. There's a whole lot to talk about here today, without a doubt. This is a great family, and I feel very at ease with everybody at this table. They're such quality people, but I really do want to hear about the director's background, his family. He's got a great story to tell, and I think so many times he works so hard, he never really talks about some of the things that we get to enjoy when we all get together.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I suspect that my life is probably the least secret in Cumberland County at this point, just because I've been around so long. But I was actually inspired as a little boy. I was 3 or 4 years old by watching John Kennedy on television. My parents were remark that I would be glued to.
See the
to him.
resemblance.
Yeah, well, and also was devastated when he was shot. Followed Bobby Kennedy, and I'm more fiscally conservative than probably Ted Kennedy was, although I admire what he did, and I think he gave a tremendous commitment to this country. But that's how I started. Then I was always involved in one thing or another in high school or college, and then I became Bill Hughes' first intern from Cumberland County, and that was an amazing experience. I went to University of Maryland, College Park, and worked for the congressman, and decided that someday I'd want to come back and serve, not unlike what you have said, Lauren, and had that opportunity. And lost a couple of elections, but since 1997 have won, and this is my 4th term as a freeholder, which is astounding to me. It's been 12 years. And I believe that the board we have right now is the absolute best board that I've ever served with. I've served other good freeholders, but we have just a terrific board. And it really goes to the diversity. You know, when you talk about the kinds of candidates that we've attracted over the years and their difference in backgrounds, you know, just look last year. You have Bill Whalen, who's number 2 or number 3 in a bank, a $500 million, very significant local bank, Colonial Bank. I'll give a plug to the bank. You've got Jane Janarone, who is a businesswoman with nearly 100 agents at Exit Realty on Landis Avenue. You have Jim Duncans, who is a former teacher and now an administrator, also a pastor of has 1 church, 2 locations, 700 people, has written 3 books. You've got Doug Rainier, who's a teacher and an administrator. You've got Bob Austino, who rose to the senior ranks at the Violent Police Department. And Joe Pepitone, who was served with great distinction on the Millville School Board and also served in his union in the Delsea Regional. And Joe Riley, who is a doctor. I mean, you want to talk about diversity, both of ethnicity, of geography, of background, and that's really what we've promoted. We've promoted a collegiality, a respect, but at the same time find people who are the best possible people, and then come to consensus, which is how we, try to govern. Lauren, I just want to go back though a little bit about the Leroy Theater, and then we're going to talk about some more things, because I think it's important for people to understand what you've done and why you're committed to that project.
Okay, so when I came back to Cumberland County, the first thing I did was head back to my roots, which was performing, and I ended up at the Off Broad Street Players, which is a theater company out of Bridgeton, about 200 members actively participating in their 12th or 13th year of production, and they were sort of homeless. They are caravanning around from a fire hall in Upper Deerfield to a high school in Bridgeton, and initially, my intent was to find them a building they could use. Well, I headed down to High Street and I saw the Leroy and wasn't sure what was going on with it, so I called a few people that are in the know, and I said, what is the deal with the Leroy Theater on High Street? And they said, there's a group that's been trying to get it open for years. They might be able to use some fresh blood, a little help. And so I immediately sunk my teeth in. That was about 18 months ago, coming up on 2 years. So. We reorganized the board, we put in a massive amount of time and effort, and we are on the cusp of announcing final funding for getting the theater up and running, and anticipate an enormous success for downtown.
Well, you and your father and the committee have put a tremendous amount of time in, and whenever I think of the Leroy, I think of Joey Pierce, and God bless Joey. He had such a vision, and he was taken way too young, and then I think there was, and no disrespect to anybody, but I think that the sense of loss was so profound that the group was kind of directionless, well-intentioned, and had made such tremendous progress. But you and your dad and the members of the committee now have taken it to the next level. And one of the things that's involved is painting and carpentry and all kinds of other things. And Nelson, I think we should go back a little bit about your background, because I think it's just so interesting where you started, literally painting like the Ben Franklin Bridge or whatever. I can just imagine hanging from that bridge.
Yeah,
and then becoming like a significant advisor to the General President of the Union. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you started and where you are now?
Well,